am Anitis, and I am the Drunken Mark. Now, I wasn't going to get into this whole, oh great, my balls are on fire, predictions, analysis, etc., but I decided to do it anyways, because I'm really excited about this show. I am thinking this is going to be a really great show. I've been more excited about this show than any other show WWE's been doing for a very long time, and I will include WrestleMania in that category. I have not been excited about anything they've been doing for a couple years now. You know, as far as WrestleMania goes, I was not excited about it at all. I watched it with a bunch of friends, which made it more exciting, more appealing. And when it comes to this, oh my god, my balls are on fire, I'm not going to call it what it's called. It's fucking ridiculous. My version's much better. I'm sure most of you would probably agree. my version's much better. Oh my god, my balls are on fire is a much better name for a fucking pay-per-view than what WWE is calling it. I'm pretty sure that Vince McMahon is getting old and senile. He's going back to his childhood. And he's got this old mentality that whatever he thinks is the best is what's the way WWE has been running, you know, basically the entire time Vincent Kennedy McMahon has been running it. Whatever he says goes. And if he thinks this is a great name for a pay-per-view, this is what they're going to do. Even though it's fucking horrible, and anybody who thought of that name should have been fired. But since he's the owner, you can't really fire that guy, can you? He's got the same mentality of these old promoters. You know, back when Vince was taking over the territory system, these old promoters were stuck in their ways. They knew how to do business. They knew what their business model was. They knew how to make money, and they weren't going to change anything for anything. And I kind of think Vince McMahon is in that same kind of mold right now. So, let's break down this, oh my god, my balls are on fire show. Apparently, from what I've heard, the Cruiserweight Championship match is going to be on the pre-show. We'll break down that one first. So we got Neville versus Tozawa with Titus Neal in his corner. Since Titus Neal is playing this kind of a managerial role lately, which I think is great for him. He's doing a great job in that role, and he's kind of doing this cruiserweight promoter kind of gimmick lately, which is working great for him. Now, it's been common booking thus far that who's ever under the Titus brand is going to come out to be the loser. I don't know where they're going with this gimmick, and I don't know what they're going to do with this whole thing. But it seems, you know, so far, you know, we got Apollo Crews. He's been on the losing end all the goddamn time. And then Titus steps in and gets involved, and he ends up getting his ass kicked. So it seems like everything with this Titus brand is kind of a loser endeavor. But I don't see the WWE taking the title off of Cruiserweight at this point in time. You know, it seems like Neville is pretty much the cornerstone of this division. Neville has been doing a great job since he came back from his injury and became a heel. He's great on the mic. He's great in the ring. He is really the cornerstone of the Cruiserweight division. And I don't see some random Japanese guy taking the title off of Neville. And that's really what it all comes down to. You know, unless it's a big name, unless it's a tremendous talent to dethrone the king of the cruiserweights, I don't see it happening. I thought, you know, a few months ago when Austin Aries came out of retirement, to take on Neville. I thought maybe there was a chance that Austin Aries might be the next Cruiserweight champion, but apparently that wasn't in the cards, that wasn't in the works, and that wasn't the plan. So, my choice and my prediction for this Sunday is that, of course, Neville is going to come out on top because Tozawa is not really a big threat to Neville at this point. So, the next match on the card that I have tonight is Alexa Bliss, who's the WWE Women's Champion, against Sasha Banks. Now, Alexa Bliss has been on fire. She's been absolutely on fire since she got to the main roster. She's great on the mic. She's getting progressively better in the ring. And I know there was a couple low points on her ring work or on her mic work. But I don't really blame her for that. I blame the writers for that. She's only can do what she has to work with. But what she does work with, she does a pretty goddamn good job at. I'm pretty sure, looking at Alexa Bliss, she's going to be compared to this generation's Trish Stratus. And like Neville with the Cruiserweights, Alexa Bliss right now is the current cornerstone for the Raw's women division. There's no denying that. There's nobody better than fucking Alexa Bliss on Raw right now. And I don't really see Sasha Banks taking down the Goddess this Sunday. There is no fucking way. I think a lot of people look at people's past work, like what they did in NXT, and they try to bring that over to the main roster. Well, that's not the way WWE works. That's not the way it works. You can see that with Bayley. They are totally misusing Bayley. Bayley was a million times better on NXT than she is on Raw. Storyline wise, character development wise, everything about Bayley was better on NXT. The same thing goes for Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks on Raw is boring as fuck. Sasha Banks on Raw has absolutely nothing going for her except on WrestleMania, where they actually acknowledge that she's the niece of Snoop Dogg. And since Snoop Dogg and WWE have a history, they kind of played on that. But other than that, no, Sasha Banks has nothing going for her. She's bland as fuck on pay-per-views, or not on pay-per-views, on her mic work. It always seems like she's reading off a script. Charlotte's kind of the same way. Charlotte is fucking awesome in the ring. On the mic, she's absolutely horrible. Sasha isn't as horrible. I wouldn't say she's horrible. She's just not very good on the mic. I think part of WWE's problem is they try to script everything for people, which I will absolutely do a video about probably sooner than later, because that's one of my main pet peeves about WWE is they overscript things all the time. And then you got people coming out there and they sound overscripted. Kind of like the old Linda McMahon syndrome. Probably not that bad, but sometimes that bad. Sasha comes off that bad once in a while. Charlotte, much more. And Tamina, yeah, we're not even going to go there. But I'm kind of going off on a little tangent here, but my pick for this Sunday is obviously Alexa Bliss is going to go over Sasha, because they're really building the women's division around Alexa Bliss at this time. So the next match I have is Enzo Amore versus Big Cass. Now, while I have enjoyed this build-up, it's one of the big highlights for Raw for the past month or so. I'll say, while I have enjoyed this, I'm not really looking forward to this match. I'm really expecting Enzo to just kind of ragdoll himself all over the place for Big Cass, which I can absolutely see happening. You know, these guys have been helping each other behind the scenes, and I can see Big Cass just squashing Enzo. That's all I see this match. That's the only outcome of this match that can really happen, is that Big Cass squashes Enzo. I like the build-up. I like the story. The match, yeah, it is what it is. It's not really that big of a deal. So I'm not really looking forward to it because I know what's going to happen. I mean, I'll be pleasantly surprised if something else happens, but I doubt it will. And then you got The Miz with, of course, Maurice and his new So then you got The Miz with, of course, Maurice and his new group, whatever the fuck they're calling it. I don't even remember. It doesn't even really matter that much. It's like Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, which both could be used in much better ways, versus Dean Ambrose for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Now, this way can go a number of ways. You could have The Miz getting screwed by Maurice. Maurice could turn face. She could turn on The Miz. But since this is the last show before SummerSlam, I think keeping the belt on The Miz is a much better idea. You know, Dean Ambrose can go on to do bigger and better things, possibly. Since they're just starting out this Damien Sandow 2.0 storyline with The Miz, with Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel, I think there's much more better ways they can take with this and do better things with this. And keeping the belt on The Miz helps that along. You know, The Miz has always been kind of this chicken shit heel who always needs help to keep his belt. So now that he's got 3 people helping him, I think it'd be much better off for all people involved. I'm sure Dean Ambrose can find another thing to do. And the thing with this whole feud is it's been going on for a very long time. But I think The Miz in the past, I don't know, 6 months, a year, whatever it has been, he's been really amping up and doing better in his ring work and his mic work. You know, ever since he had that front to front confrontation on SmackDown Live with Daniel Bryan, he's been doing tremendously. And a couple weeks ago, I listened to a podcast with Baron Corbin on the, I believe it was on Steve Austin's podcast, that those guys on SmackDown Live, the Smack Talk, Talking Smack, that's the name of the show. On Talking Smack, those guys are not scripted. They just tell them to go out there, just be yourself, do whatever you want to do. And I think that's really good for these guys. You can see certain people who, and I think that's a good kind of testing ground for people too, to see who can talk and who can't talk. You know, Miz definitely can fucking talk. Ever since he did that Talking Smack with Daniel Bryan, he's been, you know, on a rocket ship to the goddamn moon. He can definitely talk. You know, sometimes you got some of these people like the Enzo or the Usos, they can't fucking talk. You see that on Talking Smack. You see, who's the other guy I'm trying to think of right now? There was somebody else I had an example for. Oh, Naomi. She can't fucking talk. She just says the same goddamn crap over and over again with her light bright goddamn belt. But anyways, that's a different story for a different time. And then this Sunday we have Seth Rollins versus Bray Wyatt. Honestly, there's not that much to say about this. I like both these guys. I like Seth Rollins. He's a good worker. He's good on the mic. He's good at his fucking job. I love Bray Wyatt. I'm a big Bray Wyatt mark. I always have been. Even though he loses all the goddamn time, it really doesn't matter to me. I don't expect him to win pretty much anymore. But I love his promos. I love his character. I love what he does. I love his ring work. You know, Bray Wyatt's my fucking guy. But this match, there's nothing to say about it. It's like, what is this even about? What, is there a feud here? I'm not sure. Is there something to be done with this? I don't even know. But the way they built this up is absolutely horrible. None of it makes fucking sense. Coming from both guys. I know some people want to complain that Bray Wyatt doesn't make any sense. Well, maybe you're just not intellectually capable of fucking understanding him then. Because he makes sense to me. I understand what the fucking Bray Wyatt's saying. But as far as this feud goes, neither side made goddamn sense. Neither side, what one side was saying and what the other side was saying didn't connect at all. So I don't know what the hell this feud's about. Maybe Seth Rollins said some bad things about Bray Wyatt at some point. I don't know when the hell that happened. I don't know. This whole feud and this whole storyline doesn't make any goddamn sense. That's the bottom line. And since Bray Wyatt loses all the goddamn time, I'm going to go with Seth Rollins, of course. Seth Rollins is more the guy. He's the guy who's they're gonna build the company around, and he's the guy they're gonna push, which is fine. You know, Bray Wyatt. Like I said, I love his character. I love his promos. I love everything this guy fucking. I'm a huge Bray Wyatt fan. And the thing with Bray Wyatt, I think he does need to win sometimes. You know, I think it's okay that he isn't champion all the time. It was awesome that he was the SmackDown champion, whatever the hell the World Heavyweight Champion. I think it was great that he actually won the championship over on SmackDown. But if you guys remember the last time they did the brand split, a lot of times the SmackDown version of the championship was always guys they were trying out, kind of experiments. And that's the way SmackDown's always been. You know, now they got Jinder Mahal, kind of experiment. Which I don't have a problem with, but again, that's a different conversation for a different time. And of course, we got Cesaro and Sheamus, which these guys need a goddamn tag team name. Do they not have a tag team name? As far as I know, they don't. But they should. And the European, they gotta have something good. You know? European Union. That's something just popped in my head. But that's fucking lame as shit. Which is something WWE would do. But SmackDown, Cesaro and Sheamus should have a good tag team name. They don't have a tag team name, do they? Not that I'm aware of. But Cesaro and Sheamus, who are the Raw Tag Team Champions, against the Hardy Boys in a 30-man Iron Man match. Now, this is the problem I had with the last pay-per-view when they had a cage match, which apparently the Hardys requested, which doesn't make any fucking sense. If the Hardys are going to request a gimmick match, what's it going to be? Yeah, it's going to be a fucking ladder match. Why would the Hardys request a fucking cage match? That didn't make any goddamn sense. So, okay, with this 30-man or 30-minute Iron Man match, this only helps Cesaro and Sheamus, because the way it's built up is that Cesaro and Sheamus are like these ultra tough, big burly fucking men, right? Yeah, we all know that. That's their gimmick. You know, Sheamus is this big burly guy who's, well, stiff as hell. It would beat the crap out of you. Fucking Jeff Hardy knows that. He's missing a tooth because of that. The whole Iron Man gimmick doesn't really work for the Hardys. It hasn't really been their modus operandi, so to speak. So, to make a long story short, this is going to Sheamus and Cesaro. And now we get into the more meat of, oh my god, my balls are on fire. This one was kind of at the last minute, I think. It seemed that way. We have Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman in an ambulance match. Now, this one's kind of hard to call because we've heard the news stories, the behind the scenes chicanery of what the plans were for Roman Reigns. But I've also heard those have changed. And what I want to happen is I want I want Braun Strowman to definitely win. This is one of those cases of what do I want to happen or what I will think will happen. Now, if you've been looking at this feud for the past, what is it, like 6 months, more, maybe more than that, Strowman has been dominating this goddamn thing until he had an injury and Roman got a little bit up on him for like one segment. But the entire time between the Strowman throwing Roman Reigns off a stretcher, off a dock, and then pushing over the ambulance, and just generally just beating the crap out of Roman Reigns, Braun Strowman has been absolutely dominant in this feud. And if you look at the way that they're booking this, if you look at the storylines, Roman Reigns came out a few weeks ago and said that he wanted Brock Lesnar. Now, we've all heard the stories that the initial storyline was to have Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, which is not a money-making match. So with those two things put together, Roman Reigns has to win this match. Strowman's been absolutely dominant. Roman Reigns is supposed to fight Brock Lesnar at the next big show. Roman Reigns has to win this match. In logical storyline progression. I've also heard that they're scrapping that idea, but I'm not going to go into all that because those are just rumors and innuendo. So as much as I hate to say it, as much as it pains me in my damn soul, I'm going to go with Roman Reigns. It's sad to say. It hurts me. I wish Braun Strowman would come out on top in this match. But since it is an ambulance match, it really doesn't hurt Braun Strowman. He didn't get pinned. He didn't submit. He just went into an ambulance. It's not really that big a deal, I guess. So then that brings us to the main event. which is also kind of a conundrum for myself. I'm a heel fan. I've always been a heel fan. That's why I'm a smark. I'm the smarky smark in the group. I'm a smarky smark in the grumpy bunch. That's the way I've always been. Even when I was a little kid. So we got Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar. And I love both these fucking guys. And the way this whole feud has been building, the way the whole interaction with these two guys, that's another shining star that Raw has been doing in the past couple weeks. You know, Raw's been pretty good for the past couple weeks. For the most part. I don't know if they got somebody else writing. I don't know if somebody else is taking charge of the show. I'm not really sure what's going on. But fucking Raw has been pretty goddamn good. As a whole. Much better than they were like a month ago. And the 6, 8, 12 fucking years prior than that. I don't know. But it's been pretty good lately. And this feud in particular, Lesnar versus Samoa Joe, has been absolutely perfect. You know, you had Samoa Joe coming out there saying he's not scared of Brock Lesnar. And that interaction with Samoa Joe and Heyman, where Samoa Joe just explained to him what he was going to do before he did it, when he put the comedic clutch on Heyman, was perfect. And then Joe coming out, or not Joe, but Lesnar coming out the next week, calling out Joe, saying he's a coward because he attacked Paul Heyman. And then Samoa Joe just going right after him. Samoa Joe is just going right after Lesnar, non-fucking stop. Which gets to my prediction. This entire feud has been built up better than they built up any feud in like the past 10 years. This match, Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar, is the reason I'm excited about this pay-per-view. I'm excited to see what they're going to do. I'm also excited because besides the storyline and the build-up to this match, I'm excited to see how well they're going to use Samoa Joe in this match against Brock Lesnar. Because you have to remember, just last year, just a few months ago, Brock Lesnar was jobbing horribly to fucking Goldberg. Which I had a major problem with. But that's not the point. My point is, I don't expect Samoa Joe to win. It'll be a good surprise. I'm expecting Brock Lesnar to win. You know, this is the last major show before SummerSlam for the Raw team. So I expect Brock Lesnar to come out on top and defend the belt at SummerSlam in August. But I'm hoping this isn't a one-off for Joe. You know, there was talk of having... This is why I don't look at wrestling news sites. It's because there's always these rumors and innuendos, and this is going to happen, that's not going to happen, this is going to happen. And sometimes it's right, and sometimes it's fucking wrong. And sometimes when it's right, it makes me mad that I ruined it watching the goddamn show. Like this past week on Global Force Wrestling, when I was watching Slammiversary, and I knew the outcome of the main event because it was fucking spoiled already. And if I didn't look at the wrestling sites, I wouldn't have known that. But my point is, I'm hoping Joe wins. I'm hoping Joe comes out on top and becomes the Universal Championship to swerve us all. But I am definitely expecting Brock Lesnar to win. It wouldn't surprise me at all. So there's your, oh my God, my balls are on fire predictions. I am Enitus, and I am the Drunken Mark.